Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. It's been about 4 months since the last time I was able to say that, and I suppose I should really be saying, welcome to the new shop. In this video, which is sponsored by Wagner, I'm going to walk through how I set up this new space, how I took care of some of my tools during the transition, and generally how I got back up and running. So check it out. This is the new shop. The two stalls on the right are one big space that's insulated and heated. The stall on the left is separated by a wall and is not heated. The heated side will be my new shop, but first, it's in need of a facelift. In the interim, between long-term storage and ultimately moving in, all my tools were sitting in the stall on the left. The space inside is 24 by 24 foot. My last shop was 19 by 19, and I know that doesn't sound like a big difference, but the breathing room it leaves around my existing tools is drastic. What's in there? What is it? Is there a mouse in there? You get him. You get that mouse. This property was actually vacant for 14 months before we moved in. So after a lengthy battle with their queen, I overthrew the spider army and drove them back outside. The previous owner had a bunch of mismatched cabinets hanging up, and most of them were gross and sagging, so I removed them all and tried to salvage the few that were in better condition. This was not one of the better ones. I believe that this thing is some manner of dog box, and it took me a while to figure out how to get into it because this lid is tied into this lid and this lid won't lift up until you pull the arm out of the way. So then you can lift that up, and then you can lift that up, and down inside here there's some bedding and what looks like an old dog door out to the outside that has since been covered up with the new siding on the outside of the building. So this is going to go. It looks like at one point they had a doorway here with a big sliding door to cover it up, but now it is sealed in and it's just kind of a sliding panel to nowhere. So this is going to come out too, and then we'll have a big wall to work with that we can paint and make real nice. I'm thinking since this is the most solid wall, solid uninterrupted wall in the whole place, this is probably going to be like the main backdrop to when I'm shooting videos. The one thing this space needed more than anything else was a fresh coat of light-colored paint to make it look cleaner and brighter. And that's where the sponsor of today's video comes in. Wagner produces a wide variety of products that makes it easy to prepare surfaces, apply paints, and clean up when the work is done. For this project, I used a Wagner Control Pro 130. This sprayer is a pour and paint design that's gravity-fed from a 1.5-gallon tank and uses airless technology to achieve a smooth, consistent finish with 55% less overspray. So what does that mean? It means that all you have to do is hold a small spray handle connected to a small tube to completely cover your walls in a shockingly short amount of time. When I told them I was painting the inside of a 2-stall garage, they said this was the machine I needed to move a large volume of paint fast. And how fast? Well, it took me 4 gallons of undiluted paint in only one thick but drip-free coat to do my entire shop. And I was completely finished, including cleanup, in an hour and a half. If you need to paint a large surface, interior or exterior, you should go pick up one of these sprayers. There's a link down below in the description. All right, let's talk lighting for just a second. The existing lighting in here when we moved in was 3 incandescent light bulbs with 2 4-foot fluorescent light fixtures, kind of all plugged into the same shared light sockets in the ceiling. Here's a quick shot of what the room looked like at decent camera settings with just those lights in it. And then when I install the new ones, I'll show you same shot, same camera settings to see just how much brighter it got in here. Now in my last shop, I put about 10 of this light fixture in there. This is an LED light that's kind of set up to look like those old fluorescent tubes. It's 4,000 lumens and about 5,000 Kelvin for a temperature, which means it's the same as daylight temperature, which with the big windows in here, it's a good thing that I'm matching colors. These worked great. I had about 10 of them hanging up in there. I really liked it, so I went to buy some more and I saw that they have what they called a shop version. I am a huge fan of these, so I'll make sure that I've got links down to both versions in the description in case you want to get some for yourself. These lights come with hooks and chains and whatnot to make it really easy to hang them suspended from the ceiling. I didn't want to deal with that though, so I drilled a few holes right through the housing and screwed them straight into my ceiling. Once again, here's the lighting before the upgrade with just the few old light fixtures in place. And with the camera on the same settings and the 14 new fixtures in place, it's so bright the picture's almost washed out. The shop space is finally ready to move into, so enjoy this time lapse of indecisiveness while I share a few facts with you. Starting the second week of November and ending 2 months later, it took me 4 trips totaling 8,000 miles to move the entirety of our 4-person household and my shop from Wyoming to Minnesota. My stuff was then stored for 2 months in my good friend's unused machine shed while we waited to close on our new house. It was unheated and had questionable roof integrity, so all my stuff was covered with a massive tarp to try and keep things dry during the big temperature swings that took place at that time. I was really nervous about transporting and storing all my cast iron tool surfaces during the cold, blizzardy winter months, so as a precaution, I sprayed a heavy coat of T9 Bow Shield on all of the surfaces and just left it to sit. On first inspection, it looks like it did the trick of keeping rust from forming, though the normally shiny surface does look a little unhappy, so it's time to clean the shield off and see how we fared. A little WD-40 cuts through the T9 and some elbow grease helps wipe it all away. Looks like we survived, even that nasty little dark spot wiped away easily enough. Wrestling my table saw around over and over caused the extension wing to get knocked out of alignment. This is enough of a lip that the normally smoothly gliding fence gets hung up, so a couple of quick adjustments brought it back into place. Luckily, it looks like the cast iron wings didn't move at all. Next, I grabbed my mag switch saw indicator to check that the blade and fence were still lined up correctly. This little tool is awesome for this job. First, I just attach it to my tight-fitting miter gauge and zeroed the dial indicator on my blade. Then I could slide the miter gauge back and forth in the slot to confirm that my blade was in perfect alignment. I even rotated the blade to see how straight it was. Here you can see that most of that error was from me just putting sideways pressure on the blade itself, creating deflection. I used the same technique to test the fence and I found that I was no more than 0.03 of an inch out of alignment over the full length. That's about the thickness of a single sheet of paper. I was pleasantly surprised that I didn't have to do any real adjustments to my table saw, even after all that manhandling over the last few months. So here's another casualty from the move. You always hear that you aren't supposed to move a bandsaw around by grabbing the table, and here's why. The trunnions that connect the table to the saw and allow it to pivot are made of relatively cheap metal, and they're likely to self-destruct if you put too much torque on them. Luckily, this style of saw is really common, so parts are easy to find. It was just a matter of screwing on the new part and reinstalling the table. The other injury to the bandsaw was a broken switch housing. This has happened a few times in the past and I just glued it back together, but since I was making an order, I picked up a new one of these too. It was a simple matter of removing the guts from the old housing and installing them in the new one. My foreman came to check on me and offered to lend a hand. After remounting the housing on the saw, a quick flip of the switch proved that we even got the wiring right on the first try. Well, I've got a lot more work ahead of me before I'm actually all set up, just like I was back in the last space. But at this point, I have enough stuff up and running that I can start building again, which was very important to me. There's a few more things that broke that I need to fix, and technically broke is not the right word. I went from a very, very dry, low humidity environment to a very high humidity state. And so I have a bunch of drawers and drawers that were very precisely fit, and now they're all banging into each other and they swelled up in the space that they had, so I need to tune those up. Some of my next projects are definitely going to be some tool organizational stuff. Now this blank wall behind me is going to end up being a big tool wall for all of my tools that I use more often that I need to get to a little bit easier. So it's going to be custom tool hangers built throughout all of that. I also need to build some kind of a clamp rack. I'm thinking a rolling one so that I can roll all the clamps from out of the way and bring them right up to the assembly table to make things easy like that. And that really about wraps this one up. Thank you guys very much for watching. Thank you to Wagner for sponsoring this video. And definitely make sure you guys go down and check out all the links in the description below here. We've got links to websites, links to products. Just go check it all out. It really helps me out. And definitely make sure you consider subscribing and liking and leave me a comment. That's about it. I will see you guys later, and it's going to be a way shorter time than the last time. Bye, guys.